Alright guys, today I'm going to be reviewing Lumines Electronic Symphony, which is a PlayStation Vita launch title. And if you're an early adopter for the system and you're looking for, what titles you want to get for your new handheld, look no further than Lumines. This game is amazing. I'm a huge fan of the series, but I have to say that this is the best entry so far to date since the original on the PSP. Now, it's pretty simplistic in terms of gameplay. There's only two colors to the blocks, and you're just trying to create squares out of the colors. And after you create your first square using the same four colors, the trick is creating more squares which attach to that square to create even more squares to get a really big combo going. And the trick here is that the blocks don't automatically disappear. Instead, there's a line that sweeps across the screen from left to right, and once it gets all the way to the right side of the screen, it'll clear all the squares that you created. So the more squares you make, the more points you get. Something that's always been a staple for the Lumines series has been its audio-visual presentation, and I have to say Electronic Symphony does not disappoint. This is the best looking game in the series thanks to the Vita's beautiful screen. And for those that are unfamiliar with how things work, essentially as you move your block around and you rotate the blocks and you create your squares and you clear the squares out of the screen, it interacts with the music that's playing in the game. So every time you rotate, it makes a sound that goes to the beat of the song, and so forth. And while techno and electronic style music has always been in the Lumines games, this time that's the main theme of the game, as you can tell by the title of the game. So if you're into that style of music, there's plenty to be had in Electronic Symphony. And I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, well, just how good can a puzzle game look on the Vita? Well, this game looks pretty amazing, and that's also helped by the fact that every song in the game has its own skin, or its own background, backdrop, whatever you want to call it. So when the song plays in the game, it'll have its own theme to go along with it, which is really cool, and the backgrounds are really vivid, really well done. And the cool thing about the series is that when you pick the standard gameplay mode, in this game it's called Voyage, it essentially goes through all the skins back to back, but it doesn't pause gameplay, so it never really takes you out of the experience. It'll gradually shift right over to the next song, so it'll switch out the background, it'll switch out the music. And once you get pretty decent at the game and you want to start going for some high scores, you better put a little bit of extra time aside, because usually one gameplay session will last at least an hour if you're playing through the Voyage mode. And to keep you busy, there are other gameplay modes such as Master, which tasks you with clearing a certain amount of blocks, and the blocks tend to fall really fast, so it gets pretty tough fairly fast. There's also Stopwatch mode, which gives you 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 180 seconds, and 300 seconds to get the highest score possible that you can, and all of those have their own separate leaderboards. And then there's also Playlist mode, which will give you all the skins and songs that you've unlocked in the game. So there's exclusive songs that you can only get while using Playlist mode, and you can customize it, so you can drag up songs to the top part of the screen and choose which songs you'd like to play and in what order. You can also shuffle them, you can do them in a certain order, you can do random ones. It's actually a pretty cool feature. Some other new additions to the series include a level up bar. So now as you play the game, you gain experience, and when you level up, you do unlock new songs and you unlock new avatars. And the avatars this time around, instead of just serving as like a little cosmetic guy that dances around in the bottom left of the screen, it'll actually give you a certain abilities, such as being able to create certain power blocks or to stop the timeline from advancing, which is definitely a pretty cool thing to be able to customize your gameplay a little bit further. There have also been two major additions and changes to the blocks that you can use in the game. One of them, the new addition, is the shuffle block. And essentially what that does is, if you lay it down on top of a group of other blocks, it'll change up the patterns that you've laid down. Now this can be good or bad. If you're in a bad situation where you can't really get many combos going and you drop that down, you could get lucky and get some nice new block formations. However, if you're doing a nice combo and then you get that block, coming down on the screen and you lay that down, it can totally screw you up. So there's a lot of new strategy and depth in terms of that. And the other new addition is that the chain block, where if you connect that block, if it's a certain color and you connect it to other colors, any color blocks that are connecting essentially will all highlight and clear out. Now, in past Lumines games, you had to make a block using that chain block. In this one, though, you just have to connect it to another color block. Electronic Symphony also uses the Vita's touchscreen, the front and the back. There is an option to control the blocks with the front touchscreen. However, that is just not for me. I feel that you just have to play this game with the buttons. But something that is mandatory, and if you're going for high scores, you're going to want to get used to this, and this is the only complaint I'd probably have with the game, in that in the bottom left, your avatar, as you play the game, it'll build up a percentage, and when it reaches 100%, you can use your avatar's power, so be it make a chain block, make the next 3 blocks be all the same color, whatever it is, you can speed that percentage rate up by tapping on the back of the Vita. Now the problem with this is if you're going for high scores and you're trying to be really competitive, you're going to have to be mashing on the back of the Vita almost the whole time. But if you want to be more casual, you won't really ever have to worry about this, but I just found it kind of irritating that I'm almost forced to have to tap on the back of my Vita, which gets kind of annoying. Besides that, however, this game is almost perfected. I mean, it's got everything to keep you busy. It also has online leaderboards so you can keep track of where you're placed against the rest of the world. And it also has one more cool little feature where if you want to gain some extra experience along with the rest of the world, if everybody each day for every 24 real-life hours, if you clear a certain amount of blocks, you can gain some extra experience at the end of the day, which I thought was a pretty cool feature. So anyway guys, that's my review of Electronic Symphony, the latest entry in the Lumines series on the PlayStation Vita. I hope you enjoyed. This is definitely one of the best Vita games that you can pick up, and I'm sure it'll be one of the best Vita titles for years to come.